Time magazine interview, she discussed some of the most controversial topics, including her Olympic snub.
Caitlin Clark dropped a bombshell that could shake the very foundation of the WNBA and the Olympic selection process. In a recent interview, she revealed what many suspected: her Olympic snub wasn't just about her performance, but was deeply tied to the politics of the WNBA.
Caitlin had a really great game, so she had 7 3-pointers and a 30-point game in a Fever victory.
The question is, did the WNBA play a part in keeping Caitlin off the Olympic roster? And if so, what does this say about the integrity of the selection process? Caitlin's shocking admission has raised eyebrows, and it's time to dig into what really went down behind the scenes. Caitlin Clark, one of the most electrifying players in the WNBA, had a standout season. She was putting up record-breaking performances, including an unforgettable game where she hit 7 3-pointers and scored 30 points in a victory. But despite these impressive stats, Caitlin found herself left off the Olympic team. Was it simply a matter of her early season struggles, or was there something more at play here? Caitlin herself believes that while her early performance may have been a factor, the decision to leave her out wasn't just about basketball. It was about the politics of the league and the established players who hold power in the WNBA.
Tell me when the last time all these players been in the league all this time. Yes. You name all the prominent players. Tell me the time the WNBA has had this much buzz. I'll wait. Everybody in the chat that y'all was saying, oh, these women been in the league before Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Tell me the time they had this much buzz. Tell me the time they had this many eyes on the draft. Tell me this many times they had watching WNBA preseason games. I'm just waiting. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead, chat. Take off.
Caitlin's revelation about the WNBA's influence on the Olympic selection process is a game changer. She didn't hold back, acknowledging that while she understood the decision to choose veteran players, she couldn't ignore the reality that the selection was not just about talent. It was about legacy, marketability, and the politics of the league. And when it comes to legacy players like Diana Taurasi, Caitlin understands why they're picked, but she also believes her skill and potential deserved a spot on that team. So what does this mean for the future of the Olympic team? Is it really about the best players, or is there something deeper at play? Caitlin Clark's snub wasn't just about her. It's about the larger issue of how the WNBA impacts decisions that should be based on performance alone. The truth is, the WNBA has a significant influence over the Olympic selection, and Caitlin's exclusion might be a prime example of how the league's power dynamics affect opportunities for younger, rising stars. Let's break it down and see how this all fits into the bigger picture.
One more thing on Caitlin, which makes her super valuable, is she is leading the WNBA in points generated, which means points scored and or points assisted on. She is leading the league by a significant margin, and she is doing this as a rookie with a Fever team that is not comprised of a bunch of all-stars.
Caitlin Clark's Olympic snub has sparked a firestorm of discussion, and the truth behind it is more complicated than anyone imagined. Despite one of the most impressive seasons in recent WNBA history, Caitlin was left off the Olympic roster. But what's even more surprising is that Caitlin herself believes the WNBA's influence played a major role in her exclusion. Let's face it, Caitlin's talent speaks for itself. She's a dynamic force on the court, capable of taking over games with her scoring ability and leadership. So why was she left out of the Olympic team when it was clear she deserved a spot? Caitlin's admission that her Olympic snub wasn't just about her performance is a revelation. She openly acknowledged that her early season struggles may have played a role in the decision, but she also pointed out something crucial. The selection process was more about politics than pure talent. Caitlin didn't want to be chosen for the Olympic team simply because she could bring attention to women's basketball. No, she wanted to be there because she earned it. But in her eyes, the politics of the WNBA, which is dominated by legacy players and big names, played a significant role in the decision-making process.
One thing Caitlin Clark does maybe better than anybody in sports right now makes it about others, makes it about team. Think about it. When's the last time you didn't see Caitlin Clark talking about a teammate? When's the last time you saw Caitlin Clark talking about herself or any of the accomplishments that she has had? Let me give you the answer to that. Never! Never! You never hear that. Now, that's why their team has gotten good. She could have been an egomaniac. Everybody in the league knows that she is the league. But every time you see something relative to Angel Reese, what's it about? It's about her. It's not about her team. It's about her. One makes it about her, the other makes it about us.
It's clear that Caitlyn understands the weight of legacy players like Diana Taurasi, who have proven themselves over the years and are undeniably influential in the WNBA. However, Caitlyn's frustration lies in the fact that talent alone didn't seem to be enough to secure her spot. Instead, the Olympic selection seemed to prioritize players with established legacies, leaving little room for rising stars like Caitlyn, who have shown they can dominate at the highest level. This raises an important question. How much influence does the WNBA have over the Olympic selection process, and is it fair to prioritize legacy over emerging talent? Caitlyn's snub shines a light on the larger issue of how the WNBA's power dynamics influence decisions that should be based purely on performance.
The WNBA tried to capitalize on her popularity and crammed a lot of games in over a short amount of time, playing against the best teams in the WNBA.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where, you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
The league's focus on legacy players and marketability can sometimes overshadow the incredible talent of newer athletes. While Caitlyn acknowledges the importance of veteran players and their leadership, she's also making a case for why the best players, regardless of their history, should be given the chance to represent the country. The reality is that the WNBA's influence may have cost Caitlyn her Olympic spot, and that's something that needs to be addressed moving forward.
This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie, targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that they've shown to the WNBA. She said, no, they're expecting this rookie class to be perfect. This rookie class isn't even one of the best rookie classes in the last 10 years.
Caitlyn Clark's Olympic snub not only sheds light on the politics of the selection process, but also reveals a deeper issue within the WNBA itself. The influence of legacy players, those who have long established their names in the league, is undeniable. While it's understandable that veterans like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird hold a special place in the Olympic team's history, Caitlyn's exclusion raises questions about how much power the WNBA holds in shaping national rosters. Should a player's legacy really be the deciding factor, or should the Olympics be about the best talent available, regardless of name recognition? Caitlyn's exclusion isn't just about missing out on a prestigious spot, it's about the missed opportunity for the sport itself. The WNBA's influence on the Olympic team isn't just a matter of selecting players who are good for the game, it's about maintaining control over who gets the spotlight. Caitlyn's performance, especially by the end of the season, made her one of the top 5 players in the league. Her talent was undeniable, and her ability to elevate the game to new heights was clear, but despite her success, the Olympic team chose to go with established players instead of giving the rising star her well-deserved chance.
No one cares what skin color you are. You know what America loves? Let me break it down for you. We absolutely love one thing. You know what it is? Underdogs. We don't care about your color. We don't care if you're married, single, divorced. We don't care about anything. We love humble underdogs. We just do.
The idea that Caitlyn wasn't selected because of her early season struggles is valid, but it doesn't tell the whole story. What's missing from this narrative is the fact that the Olympic Selection Committee likely took into account more than just performance on the court. Caitlyn herself expressed how she didn't want to be seen as a marketable figure just to bring attention to the sport. She wanted to earn her place, not be picked for the sake of selling the game. But that's the reality of how the WNBA operates. Marketing and legacy often take precedence over raw talent, and this is where Caitlyn's frustration lies. The WNBA's impact on the Olympic selection process can't be ignored. While it's important to respect the legacies of players who've paved the way for the league, it's equally important to recognize when new talent emerges that can help push the sport forward. Caitlyn Clark represents that new wave of talent, a player who's not only skilled, but also capable of drawing in new fans and elevating the visibility of women's basketball. By leaving her off the Olympic roster, the selection committee missed an opportunity to showcase one of the brightest stars in the game today. This decision speaks volumes about the politics of the WNBA and how it can sometimes hinder the growth of the sport by prioritizing legacy over talent.
Did it with the spotlight on her at a very young age. Fame is hitting this young lady's life. And very, very rarely did I see a misstep or something that I wouldn't want to show my daughter. Literally every step of the way, it's just like, watch her, watch how she plays, watch how she handles her business.
Caitlin Clark's Olympic snub isn't just a missed opportunity for her, it's a missed opportunity for the entire sport of women's basketball. The decision to prioritize legacy players over emerging stars like Caitlin speaks volumes about how the WNBA's influence has shaped the selection process. While it's important to honor the veterans who have built the foundation of women's basketball, there's a crucial aspect being overlooked: the future of the game. The WNBA, by focusing so heavily on legacy, risks stifling the growth of the sport by failing to recognize the new generation of players who are redefining what it means to be a top-tier athlete in the league. Caitlin Clark.
But they don't want it to grow if it's certain people at the face. And there is still this undertone of jealousy that for some reason I cannot get around calling it anything else but that, because I don't know what else it could be. I thought it was going to get better this season, but it hasn't. There are still people who seemingly, to me, feel like they just don't want Caitlin to be a part of.
Clark has done more than just put up impressive stats. She's brought a new level of excitement to women's basketball. Her style of play, characterized by her deep three-pointers, fast breaks, and leadership, has captivated fans across the country. She's not just a player, she's a phenomenon. But instead of being celebrated for her contributions to the game, she was left out of the Olympic conversation because of the WNBA's outdated focus on legacy and marketability. This is where the real issue lies. The WNBA's influence is preventing the sport from evolving. The decision to snub Caitlin in favor of players who may have had their time in the spotlight risks sending the message that talent alone isn't enough to get ahead in the sport.
I think Caitlin Clark is doing the right thing, rising above all of the crap that she's had to endure. The amount of fouls committed on Caitlin Clark higher than any other player, flagrant fouls committed on Caitlin Clark higher than any other player. Caitlin Clark was worried about playing the game, and that is why she got Rookie of the Year. She was not worried about the BS.
The WNBA has the power to shape the future of women's basketball, but it's not doing enough to ensure that the league stays competitive and relevant on the global stage. By prioritizing legacy players over emerging talent, the league is inadvertently holding back the next generation of stars who could propel the sport to new heights. Caitlin's exclusion from the Olympic team is a clear example of how the system is rigged to favor the old guard. Instead of giving Caitlin the recognition she deserves, the WNBA has shown that it values legacy over talent, tradition over progress. Caitlin's snub also raises an important question about the role of the WNBA in the broader landscape of women's sports. The Olympics are supposed to be about showcasing the best athletes, not just the ones who have the most history or the most marketability. By leaving Caitlin off the roster, the selection committee missed an opportunity to highlight the future of women's basketball. It's time for the WNBA to stop playing it safe and start embracing the new wave of talent that's pushing the sport forward. If they don't, they risk losing the chance to be part of the next big leap for women's basketball, one that Caitlin Clark is more than capable of leading.
There is a lot of appropriate attention on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, and we found out that the Fever Storm game from over the weekend drew 2.2 million viewers, which is massive. The WNBA has 18 games this season where they've had more than 1 million viewers average, and 16 of those 18 have featured Caitlin Clark. So you cannot deny the connectivity of Caitlin Clark playing basketball and people wanting to watch. If she's playing, they will come, they will watch the game.
At the end of the day, Caitlin's exclusion from the Olympic team is more than just an individual setback. It's a reflection of how the WNBA's influence can sometimes hinder progress in the sport. By focusing too much on legacy and tradition, the league is missing out on the opportunity to showcase the future of women's basketball. If the WNBA wants to truly grow the game, it's time to start valuing raw talent and innovation over established names. Caitlin Clark's story is just beginning, and the world is watching to see what happens next. The question is, will the WNBA be part of her journey, or will they continue to hold her back? The WNBA's reluctance to embrace the new generation of players like Caitlin Clark also impacts the league's global visibility. As the sport continues to grow, the demand for fresh, exciting talent has never been higher. Caitlin is one of the most recognizable names in women's basketball right now, and her exclusion from the Olympic team only further emphasizes the disconnect between the league's priorities and the global appetite for change. The world wants to see the best players, not just those who have been around the longest. By sidelining Caitlin, the WNBA risks missing out on the opportunity to tap into a larger, more diverse audience that could help elevate the sport to new heights.
Caitlin Clark now has the rookie record the history of the WNBA. She's now going to try to set the all-time record, but 12 games to go.
Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in 5 days what would have taken 5 years.
Caitlin's story is about more than just a snub. It's about breaking barriers and challenging the status quo. She represents the evolution of women's basketball, where athleticism, skill, and passion are no longer defined by age or legacy. Her rise has been meteoric, and her ability to captivate audiences and inspire young players is unmatched. The WNBA needs to recognize that the future of the sport lies in players like Caitlin, who are redefining what it means to be a star in women's basketball. If the league continues to prioritize legacy over innovation, it risks becoming irrelevant in the rapidly changing landscape of women's sports. Caitlin Clark is the future, and it's time for the WNBA to stop holding her back and start embracing the new era she represents. Caitlin Clark's Olympic snub is a stark reminder of how the WNBA's influence can sometimes hold back the growth of women's basketball. By prioritizing legacy players over emerging talent, the league is missing out on the opportunity to showcase the stars of tomorrow. Caitlin's story is a testament to the power of raw talent and the importance of pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the sport. Her exclusion may have been a blow, but it's also a call to action for the WNBA to reevaluate its priorities and embrace the future of the game.
Caitlin Clark has been the best thing, the most dominant thing. Remember, there's been good players come out of college, but nobody really cared. We'd seen it. Nobody really cared.
As fans, we have the power to support the players who inspire us and push the sport forward. Caitlin Clark is a shining example of what happens when talent and determination meet opportunity. She's already changing the game, and her journey is just beginning. It's up to the WNBA to recognize that the future of women's basketball lies in the hands of players like her, who are ready to take the sport to new heights. If the league continues to ignore this fact, it risks falling behind in a rapidly evolving landscape. The road ahead for Caitlin is bright, and her exclusion from the Olympic team won't define her career. If anything, it will only fuel her fire to prove that she belongs at the top. As fans, we'll be right here, cheering her on every step of the way. It's clear that Caitlin Clark has what it takes to lead the next generation of women's basketball stars, and the world is watching.
Caitlin is the face right now, and that's also good. Like, she's selling out gyms, of course. Like, why would you hate against that?
We saw dirty play after dirty play on Caitlin Clark, and still, she just handled every single situation with the highest levels of dignity.
So what do you think about Caitlin's Olympic snub? Do you believe the WNBA's influence played a role in the decision? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on Caitlin Clark's journey. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.